Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it is time again for a Equity.Guru investor roundtable. I am Rob, living in the basement with my pal Chris Perry over there. Upstairs, we've got, what do we got up there? We got Vishal, living large, and the king over there in the upper corner, Mr. TK Indichenna, who's, God, he's needing a haircut. All right, so we're talking Playgon Games today. They are delivering digital games for the iGaming.
Playgon.
What did I say?
Polygon.
Oh, sorry, Playgon. Yeah, sorry.
I think Polygon's a Pokemon.
I can't read my own writing. They do some live dealing. They do some tabling stuff, and they also do some daily fantasy work. And Darcy Krogh, Krogh, is their CEO. They are on the TSX Venture Exchange at DEAL. That's pretty good. That's a handy DEAL. Who's going to tell us about Playgon? Don't call me Polygon first. It's going to be Vishal.
Yeah, I was going to say Polygon. I'm pretty sure it's a Pokemon, one of the rare Pokemons that you can collect. But Playgon
it's multi-sided shape.
It's a software as a service company that basically combines social media, live streaming, and games of chance, more predominantly gambling. And what they do is they license out their software to the iGaming industry. We're talking, operators, most likely are casinos or anyone who wants an online presence. You get to log on, and essentially, you have iGaming. You have live gaming, live streaming gaming, where you can basically play. I think the games right now are baccarat, roulette, and they've just introduced blackjack. So it's live dealers. You can chat with the dealer, you can message the dealer, and they can respond to your comments. And that's really what it is. And they've been expanding. They've doubled the operators recently, which is pretty good news, and saw the stock pop. And as you can see, even on their site, they're looking at fantasy sports as well, with a platform, software platform for that purpose.
I'm on a roll. Hey, that was mine. Even though you're talking to the dealer, it's still digital cards.
Still digital,
right?
Yeah.
So just straight up as a consumer, do you guys really want to be playing digital cards? Because you're not physically controlling or have any ability to really.
Yeah, I think you do. Judging by the avalanche of advertising out there right now on slots and esports betting and sports betting and daily fantasy sports, it's all pretty much digitized. You're still dealing with the same percentages of chance. It's just that instead of having someone physically flip a card, the machine's doing it for you. I will say that I kind of appreciate the whole live dealer thing, because doing it all automated and just speaking to avatars or not speaking at all really takes away from the experience. If you've ever sat in a casino at 2 o'clock in the morning and dealt with people of varying degrees of inebriation, there's a whole side of gambling that you miss out if you're not actually in a room sitting with a guy who calls himself Slim. So I like where these guys are going. But the whole betting market is nuts right now.
But if I bet on your soccer team, I have no, it doesn't matter where I bet on that team. The game unfolds. The guy kicks the ball. If he scores, he scores. But that card, they can control what that card is ultimately, can't they?
I mean, they could, but generally speaking, they don't. The governance side of and compliance side of online betting is fairly substantial. Admittedly, there are a lot of companies in that space that are a little bit Russian and a little bit oligarchy. But if I just look at something like Twitch, right, which generally speaking is streaming guys playing the most popular games at the moment, you can get 30,000, 40,000 people watching a Twitch streamer playing slots, which boggles my mind. I can't even fathom how someone would find that interesting. Playing yourself, playing slots, I don't find in any way interesting. But watching someone else do it is bonkers.
Yeah.
If you look at the Premier League, like every second team is sponsored by a betting outfit. If you go onto cable TV and look at any of the channels after midnight, it's all slots, it's all online gambling. This is a massive space. It may be getting a bit saturated. So having it differentiated, like having an actual live dealer in a game, I think is a really interesting, at least start of a differentiator for me.
Yeah. And I think, Rob, just to your point too, a lot of people on forums and I guess, other people who follow the company do believe that, they did do well and the stock did well, obviously, especially with the pandemic, right? That was one of the positive aspects of the iGaming or iLive gaming, where if some of these casinos are shut down or you can't go in person, you can play online.
Yep, absolutely. DK?
Yeah, there's on the business front, there's not too much happening since they recently changed how their sales are kind of registered in 2019. So I think people, if they want to look at this, they should focus on the balance sheet. Just of this year, they raised some cash. Well, at the end of March, they raised some cash. So they have a total of $5 million in cash. And as with most software as a service companies, they don't have much in assets. So it's a capital light business as well, if you're able to capitalize on the software that is backing the system. And having such a structure allows an ecosystem to build up where the company can benefit from this thing that economists love. They call it network effects. It's where there's more users on the platform, giving you more services and kind of filtering through, allowing that ecosystem to work on itself, which lowers their cost of customer acquisitions, etc. in the future. But it's hard to do that if you don't put down the capital now to get that infrastructure ready. And that's probably why they are stacking up on so much cash. Going down on the balance sheet is pretty simple. They don't have much in liabilities. They have some loans that are outstanding, but they've paid $64,000 of those loans. And they also just made an acquisition. So they have some intangible assets that they bought with that acquisition that will kind of help with the top line figures. And that's where I was with the analysis. The key thing here is the management has cash that it's ready to deploy. Mm-hmm. And in such a hot market, most of their opportunities are buying up smaller firms, even if they're private firms, or going to buying property rights so they can go buy other properties and licenses that are already available, depending on the legal and the regulatory environment, allowing that deal to go through, and using that to leverage their current base to try and increase the amount of volume going through their platforms.
We're going to try to get some spending money comments here in a second, but let's see what the ups and downs are doing with Vishal, who wishes his glasses were as cool as TK's.
Next ones, I have to get the circle ones, but the stock right now, you can see here, it did finish up 1.69% on the day with 24,605 shares traded. We take a look at the chart, we can see, the stock was in a nice uptrend until March of 2021, and then we began a downtrend, and you guys probably are sick of this term now, but a range. But we have found support here at around 25 cents, which, the 25-cent level is generally a pretty important psychological number for stocks under $1. I would say 50 cents, 75 cents, and then of course the $1 level. So 25 cents right now is providing support, and we've been basically holding above that since mid-July of this year. Still building a base. And we just need that catalyst for a liftoff. I like where it's at right now, at 25 cents. I think we're seeing buyers, step in around this level. Just to sort of build upon TK's analysis there earlier in August, they mentioned that they have 7 operators, so 7, casinos are operating their platform, and they're looking to add. Sorry, not 7. They have 14 right now, and they're looking to add 15 more. So 7 was added in August. 3 more were added in September. So they're looking to almost double the amount of customers and operators by the end of the year that they have. And I think if those deals keep coming in, that could be a good enough catalyst. But obviously, it's the revenues that matter, and that's what I think a lot of people will be looking at. But a nice base here building, and if anyone is bullish this sector or iGaming for the future, I think this would be a good opportunity to buy.
Chris, you've spent my money at the base level. You got $5,000.
Well, I look at the last 3 months and see a lot of say low trading volume. As Vishal says, it seems to have formed a base around 29 cents. If it drops beneath that, someone's picking up the stock. So that generally, points me to maybe a month, 2 months in the future, looking like someone's collecting and waiting for some news. I'm not sure what the news would be that would propel this thing in a heavy way, right? If you add another 7 dealers, that hasn't moved it much. If you add another 7 on top of that, that hasn't. If you added 200 dealers, or your revenue was coming up to such a point where you had to really go out there and expand heavy, then I'd start really buying in. But right now, I guess what I'm waiting for from this company is the reason to jump in. And I don't see it yet. I see that they're looking to build something, and I see that the bets are coming in, and there's, in August they had 1.4 million of betting turnover. The general rule from my time in Vegas was about 5% of betting turnover stays with you. So if that's the perspective here, then you're looking at about 70 grand of take home out of that 1.4 million. Now they may not have a lot of expenses in getting to that place, but I really want to see something that's going to take that from $70,000 in that month to $700,000 in that month. Whether that's an acquisition, whether that's a really strong marketing push, whatever it is, until I can see that chart start to move, I'm just putting it on a watch list.
TK?
Yeah, I kind of side with Chris on waiting for the market to kind of show itself that there's sales that the company can start booking. And I draw a reference from 2 of the large companies in the US, Facebook and Google. They have the largest resources in the world to deploy into new projects. But the issue where Google can attack Facebook's market is because of how entrenched the user base is on Facebook, in that ecosystem that they have, Facebook Messenger app, the WhatsApp and Instagram, that it's very hard to take that market away from them. As of now, I'm not too sure how stable that market is for them. And that is something you'd want to see over time as they build that customer loyalty, quote unquote customer loyalty with business partners.
We're sitting, Vishal.
It looks like it, yeah. I just want to go back to what Chris mentioned earlier about there's a lot of competition now in the esports sector and the e-game betting. And I think, approach Playgon maybe as that casino iGaming sort of aspect, right? And sort of what you mentioned earlier too, Rob, would people want to play cards and blackjack online, or would they be going to casinos to play it live? I'm going to wait as well. I'm just going to sit aside on this one. I think there's, if you're bullish, say esports and other bettings, there's maybe other ways to play it. I do like the technology, and I like the value that they bring. But just for now, I would probably just wait for the break and maybe some good news to give us that break, to give us a reason to buy the stock for a higher move, a momentum move higher.
Well, there you go. The fellers aren't doing a thing. It's a wait and see on Playgon Games, which is DEAL, DEAL, on the TSX Venture Exchange. You folks out there can do what you want. Do your own research, spend some money, don't spend some money. We're just giving you some of our thoughts. We'll see what happens. We'll wait and see on Playgon.
Hey, before we go,
next time,
has anyone checked to see what sort of dealers are happening on this thing? Like, is it guys that look like Rob, or is it like hot 22-year-old girls with
Betty Lou?
Well, I mean,
if
here I can
they
show
were
you guys
smart,
some of the pictures, but if I click on live dealer games, I mean, we have stuff like this.
Yeah, I would think they'd go more with the latter as opposed to the previous. If they were smart,
5K down.
Young and good looking.
I'm assuming they're pretty wise that way. But again,
Unrelated to the dealers we just watched, I think I want to place a bet.
Exactly.
Give this one a spin. Yeah, let's download the app. Try it out.
I think
Oh,
that's
boys.
I think that's the point Chris is trying to make. That's Chris over there. That's Tika up there. That's Michelle up there. We'll see you next time on the Equity Guru Investor Roundtable. Cheers.